yung sabi nyo, yung panununtok, pananakit ay gawa ng mga empleyado nyo. Nireport nyo sa barangay na imbestigahan o sa pulis kung sinong kasamahan sa bahay ang gumawa kay Aling LB?
Wala po, Your Honor.
Hindi
Tong
niyo
late ko na lang
na-report?
po nalaman, Your Honor, na ganun nga po ang nangyari nung nagsumbong na yung mga kasamahan po rin nila. Nung sinabi rin lang po
Kaya
nila
hindi
sa
nyo na
akin.
na-report sa pulis?
Opo, Your Honor.
Medyo mahaba
Mr.
ito,
Chair,
ano
hindi, yung portion na tinanong siya kung sinong nanuntok. May sagot siya.
Technical. Anong nangyari?
So, yung sinabi niya,
Paliwanag ko po sa inyo lahat. Kung kanyang ebidensya, kunan daw siya. Yun ang kwento po sa amin. So, sa madaling sabi, dinala siya sa akin. Pagdala, di ba nga ano po, mga siguro ay mga 2 weeks pa lang, ng 12,000.
okay, forward. Kunti,
Binigay
forward.
ko sa kanya yung sobrahan ko. Kasi ganito sir, bago siya pumasok sa akin,
Sinuntok.
Sinuntok
pa sa mga niya.
Sa siya.
Forward pa.
Utak akin. Sinabi ko, sa madaling sabi, kinausap ko siya nung gabi. Sabi ko sa kanya, ngayon, bigyan kita ng pagkakataon pag nilakaw ko sa sabi. Alikot ang kamay mo. So,
Well,
yun ang start niya.
Okay.
Makupunta ko muna ako. Yung akin, pinaunan sa tiyanggian ako na iwan ko yung bag. Gabi ko na nabangulab dahil pagod sa tanghali. Naku, wala po napasok sa kwarto ko walang iba. Ay, ako po, sabi niya, ate, ang ginawa ko sa kang gano'n. Saan mo dinala ang pera? Naman namin yung babae sabi, hindi. Pero sa palagay lahat eh.
okay, ang tanong ko po, bakit siya binubugbog ninyo daw po?
Hindi po siya binubugbog dito, wala nagbubugbog sa kanya. Kung may nagbubugbog sa kanya, yung mga kasama niya, nag-aaway-aaway sila. Then, kasi doon po sila sa area na yun, tapos nakakandado yan. Diyan, hindi ko naman alam kung ano
Next yan.
Wala nagbubugbog sa nagkaroon siya ng karelasyon. Hindi na, yung bata ay 20 years old.
Lalaki?
Lalaki, babae. Tapos ganito po, pag ako nangangayat ka, ano ako
Dito, hindi naman siya bulag.
O yan.
Tumating po siya dito. Hindi po. Ganito po nangyari. Sa lahat,
39
ganyan
seconds.
po.
So bakit po nabulag?
Ay, nag-away nga po sila ng kanyang kasi ginamit niya daw
Pause.
yung
Pause. Doon pa lang. Hindi ako polygraph machine, ha? I am not a polygraph machine. I am not claiming to be a master investigator. Pero, yung sagot mo lang na yun, klaro na. You're grouping for words. Naghanap ka ng iimbintuhin mong sasabihin mo. Nakikita ko na doon. Klaro-klaro yun. Alam mo, pag investigador ka, you are after the verbal and non-verbal messages that is coming out from your subject. Kikita verbal at non-verbal, makikita mo, yun lang, Mr. Chair, gusto ko lang ipakita, emphasize na talagang may pinsan to lie itong ating resource person nandito ngayon. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, huwag na tayo magpaligoy-ligoy pa dahil panay kasinungalingan itong sinasabi niyo. Mr. Chair, since we have heard the testimonies of the resource persons present here today, in the name of JM, ano ito? What's your family name, JM? Taroma, Patrick, Simbahon, and Dodong, alias Dodong. And there are a lot of witnesses who wants to come out and to testify against Ms. France. And those who are willing to testify wants to come out, like for example, itong si Pau Pau and the garbage collector. Maybe we can summon them in the next hearing, maybe by next week, because we are going to have our recess the week after next. So, and this woman, our resource person, Mrs. France, have been giving a lot of inconsistent answers coming from me. And I believe that this woman, Ms. France Ruiz, is the mastermind of everything, of maltreating, of inflicting severe injuries, leading to the total blindness of Aling LV. Therefore, Mr. Chair, I move that we cite this woman, Mrs. France Garcia Ruiz, in contempt.
I second the motion, Mr. Chair.
There is a motion here coming from Senator Estrada to cite in contempt Mrs. France Garcia Ruiz, duly seconded by Senator De La Rosa, and under the rules of the Senate, as affirmed.
Maybe, Mr. Chair, we better confine her at the Pasay City Jail, not here in the Senate.
And under the, if I may continue, Senator Estrada, under the rules of the Senate, as confirmed by the Supreme Court in Balag versus Senate GR 234608, July 3, 2018, and other relevant Supreme Court decisions, the committee may, as affirming likewise the case of Arnold, cite a resource person in contempt. And the Sergeant at Arms may be directed by this committee to detain the person, said person cited for contempt. There is a subsequent motion, unless the first motion is amended by Senator Estrada, to transfer, to detain Mrs. France Garcia to commit Mrs. France Garcia to the Pasay City Jail. The chair would perhaps ask the movant to reconsider the Pasay City detention and instead commit said Mrs. Garcia to the Senate premises for the reason that we will also be needing her immediate presence during next week's hearing, unless Senator Estrada would want to retract his modification, or if Senator De La Rosa would support the subsequent
Chair,
motion, amended motion,
if I may.
the committee would decide accordingly. Senator,
Yep.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
Senator
if I may.
Estrada first.
I will not withdraw my motion. I still insist that she be committed at the Pasay City Jail, because Pasay City Jail is just near the Senate. We can always subpoena her or call her attention in case this committee needs her presence here.
Mr. Chair,
That was the pleasure of Senator De La Rosa.
before you rule the motion of Senator Jinggoy Estrada, may I move for a 1-minute suspension, Mr. Chair? Mag-usapan tayong tatlo.
Session is suspended for 1 minute. The members of the committee will retreat to the adjoining room. Senator Estrada, there is a pending motion with a modification, not duly seconded. May we know the pleasure of Senator Estrada whether he is amenable to sticking to the original motion or to the modified motion. Senator Estrada, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Upon consultation with my colleagues, the Chairman, Senator Tolentino, and Senator Bato del Rosa, I withdraw my second motion to commit her to the Pasay City Jail and instead commit her here in the Senate jail. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
The said motion was duly seconded by Senator De La Rosa. Finding no other objections, comments from our other colleagues, the Senate Committee on Justice and Human Rights, after consultations with the members and a closed-door deliberation, hereby approves the said motion of Senator Estrada and a detention order be issued to Mrs. France Garcia Ruiz for continuously evading the questions propounded by the members of this committee, as well as falsely testifying under direct examination by committee members and consistent with the rules of the Senate, which considers a commitment order issued by a committee as a contempt of the Senate. The Sergeant at Arms is hereby directed to place under detention within the Senate premises said person, Mrs. France Ruiz, with visitation rights accorded to his family members as well as counsel, effective today, September 19, 2023, given in open session by the Senate Committee on Justice and Human Rights. So ordered. Usa, can you escort Mrs. Ruiz to the detention facilities of the Philippine Senate? Any motion to suspend the hearing for today?
Mr. Chairman, I move to suspend the hearing for the day.
Without objections on the part of the members of the Committee on Justice and Human Rights, the Senate Committee on Justice and Human Rights investigation is hereby suspended.